Appreciate that. Give it up again for Lalo, guys. Let's keep it going with your next comedian, Tommy K.
Thank you. Last time I came to one of these, it was a workshop. It was an open mic. People bought crap. These are all brand new stuff, man. I didn't know everybody was so good. Well, I recently lost my job. I had a great job in DC. I worked for a very, very, very secret organization. I was the national social director. The company was called Jewish Space Lasers. And until I banged some blonde bimbo from Georgia, everything was great. But now that I'm out of work, I really have to start something new. So I was thinking, what kind of career can I start? So I'm thinking, at my age, there's not many marketable positions out for me. So I started looking into the gangster / mobster line of work. So I'm thinking, you know, it can't be that difficult. First thing I had to decide, do I want to be a gangster or I want to be a mobster? Part of a gang, part of a mob. So I decided, because the mobsters are a little more organized, I'll go with the mobster. So, Mobster 101. Rule number 1 if you want to be a mobster. This is what I found out online. Number 1, must have a gun, preferably loaded. Makes perfectly good sense, I'm good with that. Number 2, you have to have good lies to your wives and girlfriends. Because if you don't have good lies while you're extorting, strangling, and shooting people in the head, your story's gonna fall apart, you're gonna get caught. Number 3, you need a high school diploma or equivalency. Because the mob doesn't want any idiots extorting, strangling, or shooting people in the head. So, I've become a mobster, and I want to be just like The Godfather, my favorite mobster movie. So I have my career planned out, except for one problem. I have a problem in the movie The Godfather. I know you've seen the part where they whack some guy out in the swamps of Jersey, and they leave the gun and take the cannoli. I want to know, why leave the gun? Why leave the gun? Let's go back to Mobster 101. Must have gun, preferably loaded. Why would you possibly leave the gun and take the cannoli? Right? This is their profession. This is what they do for a living. Okay? If it was a bunch of plumbers out there killing some guy, would they leave the plunger and take the cannoli? No. And why would you take the cannoli? There's probably 12 Italian bakeries right near where these guys live. But they had to leave the gun. They're tool of the trade. Listen, if there were ballerinas, right, dragging some guy out in Secaucus, right, and they were going to strangle him to death, you think they would leave their tutus and take the breadsticks? No. So let's revisit that. Take the gun, take the cannoli, right? Right? Okay, so here's the stuff that's brand new. When I was in college, I got a DWI. And back in the day, DWI meant driving while intoxicated. But that wasn't enough for them. So they created DUI, driving under the influence. But now I think it covers way too much, because I'm under the influence all the time, right? TV commercials, ads, songs, my wife's cooking, my porn. I'm always under the influence of something. So now, every time anybody gets pulled over, we turn it around on the cop and say, listen, officer, aren't you under the influence of something? Huh? You have a good night with your wife? Did you watch a movie? You're influenced by something. We all are. Also, speaking of cops, I was such a douchebag in college. I had a bad muffler when I was in college, loud as hell. Got pulled over by a cop once. This is a true story. He says, do you know why I pulled you over? I said, I have no idea. He says, your muffler is really, really, really loud. I said, I fixed it already, officer. He says, how? I said, I went out and bought an amplifier, new speakers for my stereo, so now I crank it up to 11 and you can't hear the muffler. That didn't go over too well with the cop. So, you know, the whole lethal injection thing, you know, the running joke, like, do they sterilize the guy, you know, for the lethal injection? We've all heard that before, but I want to take it one step further because I did some research. In 17 states, it is required to rub a guy's arm with alcohol before you stick him with a lethal injection. So I'm thinking to myself, what about all the other states? So are the other states basically executioner's discretion? I mean, is the executioner at his own discretion to say, I had a good day today, I had a bad day, I'm gonna put alcohol on the guy's arm? If I'm the convict, if I'm getting killed, I don't want alcohol on my arm. I don't want to meet the devil at the gates of hell with alcohol on my arm. Thank you.
Give it up for Tommy King. Awesome songs. Good job, Tommy.